Deputy Assistant Administrator Ann Vaughan, who is going to close the forum for us.
Thanks. Thank you so much. First to MMR, the MRR lab. Catherine and Kara have put a ton of work into this too, but also for everyone that's been here, everyone that's online, and I've been lurking online, and there's really good chats happening. There's really good conversations, and we're talking about everything from elephants to mental health earlier, just in one day. So and this is a really incredibly important topic. So I want to give a round of applause to everybody for their active participation. Thank you. And to those online, I mean, it's really been some great presentations. And I think incredibly important for the work that USAID has done. I started my development time in Peace Corps like many folks at AID, and some of the most things that stuck with me is we had a cholera outbreak where near where I was, and I will not sing it for you, but 25 years later, there is a jingle in Spanish about washing your hands that was all about behavioral change, and it's still with me 25 years, and I will not give you this earworm because it will stay with you for 25 years, but the importance of like, how do we get people to change their behavior? And then all of this amazing work that we're talking about today is these it's hard to do. It's even harder to do in some of the behavioral economic, like the economic side of this, and that we make decisions that are not good for ourselves, that have huge impacts on poverty, on hunger, and malnutrition. And you all are trying to tackle that. And I really appreciate our academics in the room that are doing that. And then a challenge to my USAID friends and colleagues. What are we going to do and how are we going to incorporate this into our programs, into our thinking as we go forward? It's very easy for us. It's like exciting to be able to think about this and dig deep into these studies, but really want to challenge you on how do we do this? How do we share this with our field, and appreciate our field colleagues that have been on the line, so that we can get it right. Because it doesn't matter if people are not changing what they're doing when it's not helping them. And we've really got some good examples of what works and what doesn't, with huge thanks to our academic partners for that. And that this has also been going on for 25 years, so I don't feel that old that it was 25 years ago that I had my earworm. I also want to stress, because we often look a lot at shiny objects when we talk about innovation, but these do not need to be expensive or overly complicated. But we also need to think about how our interventions can be achievable, accessible, and affordable. Just one example from this that we've been talking about in Bangladesh, from our Food Safety Innovation Lab, that looks at consumers' willingness to pay for safer fish. And how do you do better pond management practices and using controlled feed without antibiotics? So basically, how do we grow better fish, but then are people going to actually eat them? And that working with our innovation lab in Bangladesh have looked at getting people to choose better fish. And we use a technical term on, well, first you looked and people were not choosing the healthier fish and the better fish for you, and they were getting sick because they're eating the wrong fish, because the fish that was better for them and safer stunk or smelled bad or looked gross because of what it had been eating different things. So if we can change those attributes, and if we feed fish a little bit differently or work a little bit different and have safer practices, and basically make sure things aren't smelling as bad or look as better, and that you bring in the human element, we can actually get people to buy the right fish, make sure their kids are eating right healthy fish and food, and have better impact. So another sort of visual to take away with you, I won't sing for you, but the visual of like, how do we incorporate the safer food, not smelly fish in what we're doing as we go forward? But really think, again, there's been a ton of learning over the last 2 days here, and we want to keep that conversation going. I want my aid friends to think about how you're going to incorporate this learning into your program. But we also know that this is not a one-off event. We really appreciate there'll be monthly webinars to sign up for on the MRR website. As we were just talking about, there's going to be a lot of information up there, and hopefully get some of those questions that were answered that came up online. Also know folks have talked and learned from each other. There's a ton of smart people on here. There's good questions online to try to encourage you to keep talking amongst yourselves. And also talk to one other person over the next month before the next webinar about what you've learned. So how we make sure we're incorporating this good information, and the deep information, and that sometimes this is hard information to learn and digest, but that if we don't get it right and learn from this, we won't be having the impact that we really need to do. So huge thanks to you guys. Congratulations again on a lot of really smart thinking, and the research that's gone behind it to get to a place where we can have this deep of a dialogue. So thanks very much to you guys. Kudos.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anne, for those kind words. We're going to wrap up. There is lunch for those of us in the room here, just out in the hallway. And I did want to thank everyone, both online and here in the room, I know you are all very, very busy, to set aside this time for us yesterday morning and today, to take the time to kind of process and think. And I hope that, as Anne mentioned, we can continue the conversation moving forward all together. Thank you.